And now Sassy still has drone to try and set him back up aggressively if they want. Sassy goes forwards and drones, but Zekken leaves. Zekken's got a great idea of this pivot happening over towards mid, which is very nice. Tens with a really awkward setup here. So I vastly prefer the way that King plays this situation. So there is an angle you can stand on that's here, roughly, where you get a crack angle onto this, which is, it's an off angle, but it's an off angle that the attackers are going to clear somewhat often. And it's a crack, so it's much more likely that you're going to be able to hit the shot as the KO. And if you don't, you immediately throw the molly, and then you can get back over towards switch or the other side, and you could reflash if you want to fight it, or you can back off into a hard anchor position. Good. The way that Pancada plays this, I think, is perfectly fine. He smokes A main. He throws Paranoia off a timing that he thinks is reasonable. He goes to break the fucking dart. The dart is a triple bounce dart. So he tries to track it onto two different walls, realizes he's not going to be able to. Then he TPs away, which I think makes a ton of sense as well. He still gets caught by the fucking dart, and he then gets mollied into a corner. So Pancada's just been pushed in a fucking locker. I mean, the Brock dart there is fantastic, I think. It just bamboozles anybody that's trying to play defense. And then they swing, take down John Cutie. Pancada's trapped in a corner. The only thing that Pancada could do that was different to that is smoke the middle of sight here and try and play inside that smoke, which maybe he would do in the next round because he knows that, he knows that it's not that easy to just break Brock's utility and then fight them. Do you see what I mean? But I don't think smoking the middle of the sight is what you should always be doing all of the time, and it was a mistake from Pancada. You know what I mean? This is just an alternate option you can use to try and anchor the sight that is better against teams that have cute utility, like that kind of thing.
That util was really good by them.
But yeah, that was just exceedingly good util from Brock and from the Killjoy. Who's the Killjoy? Can't remember. Zekken has taken the op into wine. I don't understand what we're doing over here just yet. Pancada's holding close, maybe to avoid being caught by the KO knife. And then he's going to go back. But the Jet is also going to get caught here by any potential KO knife.
It takes 8 seconds.
Pancada looks like he's... Yeah, I mean, he's anticipating... So Pancada's trying to play specifically anti to what MXS is doing. MXS has been throwing a KO flash over the top and then TPing that Omen into the corner. So Pancada's trying to get a free kill on them. And then Zekken's going to swing off that kind of like stuff happening. So Zekken's playing anti-flash at this point, I would imagine. So this is them trying to deliberately counter-strat what MXS are doing to take a main control, but they're not there.
Like father, like son.
I think at this point in the round, after they're not taking a main control at the beginning, it's probably a good idea to rotate Zekken out and just have Pancada back off, but Pancada looks like he wants to make a push, and now Zekken's just in a really weird spot. Oh my god. Yeah, actually there was a clip from here. Oh, see, that push is just... bleh from Pancada. When he tucks behind the box, he loses all of the info. When he's walking out, he's making Zekken completely useless in terms of his positioning. It's just like a mess of ideas. I think the original idea to try and play counter to what MXS are doing in a main is fine. If Pancada then wants to push, it just doesn't seem like a great idea to me overall. But I guess if Pancada does want to push for extra info, he needs to rotate Zekken away to pick up Cat a lot earlier, and Tens needs to go and help him, and then Pancada just has to wait for longer instead of being the first player to go and make a move. And certainly if you're going to continue pushing past the box, you can't tuck. It's just indecision there. And if he's going to make a play like that, he needs to call for Tens to reposition into a spot where he can actually be useful, because Zekken was just hiding. Sorry, he needs to call for Zekken to rotate. I think I said Tens there. He needs to call for Zekken to rotate. So it's just all... It just doesn't make sense, right? Pancada, it feels like he just decided to do that on the spur of the moment without informing his team what he was doing, because if he says, like, if at the start of the round the call is, we're going to go and fight A main, and if they're not A main, I'm going to push Gelato. If that call is made, Zekken is not just going to be hiding in wine the entire time. Like, Zekken's going to set up in wine at the beginning and then start rotating away as Pancada starts pushing forwards. Or, you know, Zekken's going to be on this line as Pancada walks up, and it's going to be a coordinated play. So it's just a mess. The execution is just all wrong.
Yeah, I guess are we adding that to the program?
Brock's Odin gameplay is fucking crazy.
It's not a fake. It's real.
Dude, how is he getting that kill from that distance with the Odin?
What? From that far?
That's crazy.
He's just
He didn't
beaming
go
him down.
From that far is ridiculous.
That was goofy.
Brock looks outrageous.
Do it again.
You could try using... Wow, the recon as well. Dude, Brock's utility and his Odin is just so good.
Harbor, oh yeah.
So Zekken's been smoked off from mid.
Who was it? Harbor and Gecko.
Sassy's pushing up close to B main and droning.
Gecko and someone else, I forgot.
Sassy's playing this so aggro just to take down this turret. All right, so Sassy's gone... Taking down the turret on his own there.
Yeah, for a bit.
Zekken's looking to try and peek back into mid.
I'm kind of like a chamber now.
I like this whole like look you got going on. Like you've been in esports now for
Okay, that's the second smoke where Zekken's been smoked off. We'll see whether he repositions. It does seem like a good time to reposition, in my opinion. In my opinion, if you have full B main control, 2 players on B, and an alarm bot still up, and this gets smoked, not just once but twice, I think it's a very good idea for Zekken to use this as an opportunity to pivot, either to try and pick up Cat with 10s, or to try and pivot and pick up A Heaven. A Heaven feels a little passive unless Pancada's already seen something in A main. But the reason why I like it is because this smoke is used to go for A splits a lot. And I think having your op in a position where they can actually do something against the A split is going to be really valuable, rather than trying to play retake on A. Not just that, but they have been really struggling to hold on to cat control. Tens at best has gone 1-for-1 in these situations. So I'd like to see Zekken rotate once he gets smoked off for the second time here. Again, I think that Tens' positioning is shit. And Pancada at least has come over to fight, but like every round that we've seen Sentinels hold cat, from the very pistol round where they had Pancada and Sassy there, all throughout, all of their positioning has been bad, in my opinion. Like, the way that they're trying to hold it, they're, like, out in the open. They're not in good positions to throw utility.
Much so around. Is there any audio?
Like, look at this.
Oh, that was crazy.
Oh, my. He just fucking beams him down. Okay, I guess it works. I don't think that's a good spot to play from.
It's really like a fake cat split into a B hit. I don't even know what they're trying to do.
looking for kills maybe.
Oh my
Tens gets 3 kills there. I really don't like this.
Is there any audio?
I guess, so the setup is that Pancada's on this off angle that I was talking about, where you take contact through the crack. So Pancada takes contact and then immediately paranoias, right? That's their setup. The problem with this is that if they throw any like flash or anything here, like if they throw a flash off the top and it like bounces into this corner and something, and Mada's actually set up to duel Tens, then if Tens is most likely in this situation going to be taking a non-favored fight. In this specific situation, Mada jumps into him with Cloudburst in hand, right? So it's not it's not how I'm talking about it. But if they throw some kind of flash in towards Catwalk, then Tens is going to be in a spot where he's just out in the open. He can't really throw a counter molly because he's just kind of stuck with his rifle out, having to take contact. And if Tens does die, then Pancada's going to be in a bit of a rough spot to hold him off with just a paranoia.
Oh, that was crazy. Oh, that was crazy. What is going on?
So while it works, I don't think it maximizes the KO's utility and the way in which you can properly hold on to cat.
split into a B hit?
So
Looking for kills maybe.
yeah, it works, but I don't like it.
Looking good.
I don't think it's a good way of holding Catwalk. Oh yeah, it's a nice flash by Pancada.
Lose that fight
Yeah?
usually.
But Pancada could be doing that while playing Switch, right? Pancada could be doing that whilst smoking here. Like, if he thinks that there's an A-split about to happen, Tens could be holding this angle, right? Pancada could be playing here. Pancada smokes this. Pancada throws Paranoia off Tenz's contact as Tenz takes contact, and then Paranoia comes through. Then he can nade afterwards. He can back up to here or here. He can throw his own pop flashes, and they're creating timings when they push these people back with the Paranoia and the nade to fight the people that might be coming through A main. So I think those kind of setups are normally better at dealing with that.
It's an eco.
So this is fake A fast hit from MXS. They've done this twice now on their attack half, where they throw the smoke immediately, a knife, and a recon, and it makes it feel to Pancada and Tenz like there's a fast A hit coming through. I think the problem is that Pancada's actually doing a really good job in these situations of not backing off. He just holds his ground, he calls their bluff, and now, even though John Cutie and Zekken are starting to rotate, they should realize this is a fake pretty early. Yeah, John Cutie starts going back over to B.
Well, there are talks back there. Can we see them?
Wow, Sassy saw them. That is funny. All right, so now Sentinels have realized that this is a fake, and MXS have just wasted their util at the beginning of the round. It's refreshable utility, though. It's a recon and a knife, but yeah, the early round gambit from MXS failing on this eco.
We were fast for a bit. We slowed it down. The rounds weren't going in our favor. You got to slow it down. Strategy. Stratagems.
So this is one of the rounds where Zekken has picked up Cat, and Tenz is going to rotate off. They have just seen people over towards B, so I think it makes sense that Tenz is starting to leave. I think MXS have a nice timing here of going for an A split. You know, in the instances I was talking about before, I was saying that Sentinels frequently have a ton of information in B main, and the alarm bot in mid is never getting broken, so they don't need to be stacking B and mid as heavily as they do. And this is a somewhat similar situation. Like, you could argue that Tenz doesn't really need to be rotating to mid right now, because the alarm bot's still up, they still have full B main information with the turret. Like, John Cutie's setup's getting them crazy good info every round, and MXS are never breaking it. But what I think is different in this situation is that Sassy just saw a bunch of people in B main, or like, you know, tiles, and there's now a smoke getting bloomed down deep mid. So I think it does make sense in this situation for Tenz to start trying to play over towards mid, anticipating a B hit from coming through. Like, it feels more like a B split right now than an A split to the defenders. They're wrong, but it does feel like that. It's reasonable.
Here we go. Jiggle. Take it.
And again, this is that off angle that I was talking about, right? Where you can just hold a little crack here. Ooh, and he's a little unlucky not to get that.
Actually helped him. Low key, his arm like went back. Wait, whoa.
He's been suppressed as well. No cloud burst. Pancada needs to help him here, man. Pancada is just waiting in A main. Hello! Send the cavalry, Pancada!
What are we doing?
My dude is fighting World War III out here while Pancada's slipping into wine.
What is happening?
That was an insane whiff.
Oh my god. Jeez.
Oh, and then Tenz fucking team blinds Pancada because the timing is all off.
There's somebody on site.
What in the Lord's name is going on with this defensive setup?
Oh my god. It's messy. It's messy.
I think that situation played fine by Zekken, but he missed the shot, which is unfortunate. I think that situation played fine by Tenz as well. I think that situation played poorly by Pancada.
Wait, 2v2. 2v2, but we are low. 1v2.
No way.
Maybe he didn't realize how much pressure Zekken was under, because Zekken actually, if you look back at this timing, right?
What?
Zekken fails to break the knife, and then
His arm like went back. Wait, whoa.
look, at this point here, Zekken's trying to throw a cloudburst at the floor. So I don't think Zekken really understands how much danger he's in, because I think he maybe thinks he broke the knife or something. So maybe Zekken is not panicking right now. Maybe Zekken's just like, yeah, they're coming through Cat, or something, instead of being like, help me, bro! So maybe that's bad comms from Zekken? It definitely looks from the minimap like it's Pancada not reacting properly, though. Okay, this is one of the first times that Sentinels are going for some kind of like set play on their defense side. They go for that recon dart and the Odin spam from Sassy. They've got a second layer to this, which is John Cutie and Pancada facing each other in mid. And this to me seems like a really cool idea if you are playing against a KO ult. So if you have a KO ult or a Killjoy or whatever, basically what I'm saying is if you're forced to play retake because the attackers have KO ult, normally teams are just going to play offside, do something super boring where you just, you know, You're trying to keep your utility up. Maybe you throw like cross map KO knife, and you have your Killjoy playing in spawn so that they can still pop their nano swarms. You know, you just do something boring and default like that. But this is like a trap setup in mid, where if they decide to go for a B pop or an A pop with the KO ult that they have online, you're going to play retake with these two ults. And if they decide to go down mid, you've got like a pretty funky trap setup going on. So I like the idea of this.
It's a test for both.
Don't know if it'll work, but I think one of the problems with it is that if they do decide to KO ult B, John Cutie's definitely getting hit by it. Which is a bit of a problem with this idea.
In what?
Right here. In what? Really? Mashing?
Cheeky Brommers, thank you for the 3 months.
No.
We have the same bowl from Dunelm? Yeah. All right, and here's that trap setup.
Dude, that is so crazy.
Wow.
Wait, what?
Wow, goddamn. Owned. All right, so that's a 7-5 half where most of the damage, to be honest, for the attackers was done here, where they won an eco and then were able to capitalize off it with a bit of momentum. Apart from that, it's not bad results-wise for Sen. I do think there's some pretty big issues in terms of how they're holding on here and how Pancada is operating. This Pancada Tens duo looks weak as shit on A. But it didn't look awful overall. Zekken looked really proactive on Jet. They had some good rotates. They had some good setups. They looked like they were thinking about what ultimates were around on the other team. Sassy was getting aggressive in B main and making sure that he could clear all their util. They didn't pressure John Cutie's setups at all. Like, John Cutie just had his turret here and his alarm bot here for the fucking whole map. That's a big problem for MXS. But yeah, this is where it all goes wrong, though, huh?
I think we might.
Okay, so here's what I'm confused about, right? Look at the minimap. So I would expect, as a KO that stood in this kind of spot, you stand in this spot to throw this flashlight up, right? But then he ran forward inside the knife, so he can't throw any more utility. So he was outside the knife to begin with, and then he goes inside the knife, so that he gets suppressed. But I would also expect if you're going to take, if you're doing a fast A hit, you want to throw the knife early as well. So you want the knife early, and then you want the delayed flash. Because he who flashes second wins. If you allow the defenders to reclear this position, you're going to be in a bit of a bad spot. I'd also like to see, probably Pancada TP across into this corner, but I guess he was standing outside of the KO knife and does it afterwards. But that's the thing, they could just do that later. Let's see what their A main take looks like this time then.
Oh, you cooked real good.
Okay, so this time, Pancada TP's right at the beginning of the round, which is what I said I wanted to see. They don't throw an early knife, though.
It's wise, is what that is. Wisdom.
Do you have kids?
Huh? 3. I'm sitting with 2 of them.
Immediately on... Okay, now they throw the knife. Thief gets caught. They repop back in. Sassy's a little bit lucky not to get caught by that.
We're here to win.
Yeah, no.
They're just going to play retake.
Let's just, like, disrespect. Get a clip. The price goes nothing, you know? We just have to, like, make it
Any molly in the smoke? Yep, okay, from John Cutie.
run through the smoke.
What are they paying you as prize pool is nothing? That's 5 damn bands I'm going to lose if it's 3-0.
So here's the other thing. When you're execing into A, normally you want to be mollying here, right? And you want to be mollying up here as well, so that the other people can't swing heaven and can't swing through this smoke. And especially, it's mitigated to some degree in this round because of the KO ultimate that Tens pops. They're not going to be able to flash peek. But generally, you want to be throwing mollies in that smoke at heaven. And one of those is going to be the KO molly. I don't believe it matters too much which is which, but usually the KO is going to be the first one in and the one pathing towards the switch. So I think it makes most sense personally to KO molly switch and Killjoy molly heaven. But maybe they did actually, because John Cutie's used both of his mollies, so maybe John Cutie is just mollying both of them. Maybe John Cutie is mollying heaven first and then the switch. It's kind of hard to tell without a replay viewer. I like the smoke from Pancada, though.
Is he gonna jump up with a flash? Yeah, he is.
Does he have a set
Is
one?
that like a flash? Whoa, what?
We're not flashing.
That's our flash.
Flash, is it flash?
Looks like a nice retake from MXS.
Can that kill?
It's quite difficult to see what's happening over here, but there's a lot of weak players. God, Brock is fucking pooing on them. Brock did so much damage with his shock dart.
What happened?
We're not flashing.
That's our.
So you can see them pinging here the fact that nobody is in A main. So Sentinels in the post round ping the fact that nobody from their team is playing A main here. They're playing 5 on site where they're all going to get caught by the knife and they're all going to get caught by the recon unless someone breaks it. And they're all going to get caught by the paranoia. See what I mean? So it looks to me like they don't really have the best idea of who should be pathing where. It's really odd, in my opinion, to have your Sova be playing Hell. And I think generally most teams would have their Killjoy playing further back too. Because most of the time you're going to put like alarm bot behind you in Gelato or something and you want to keep that active. You don't want to scale your Killjoy all the way up. But John Cutie had the spike. And also it looks like one of their game plans is to have John Cutie molly here. So he's got to at least poke his head into the side. But yeah, post-plan positioning looking like it hasn't really been predetermined. This is a strange defensive setup by the look of things, but it's a mid like trap play. You got 2 people playing crossfire. You got the KO ready to reflash them into mid. So they're expecting Sentinels to go mid this round.
So actually, I don't know if you know this, Rob. This is actually a challenge.
Ah, and they have a lineup for the A KO knife still. Zekken can hear that that knife traveled for a long time, but it could have come from tree instead of coming from spawn. Because there's lineups from over there as well.
Yeah, it's actually not in the franchise league. It's actually they don't even get
So they
paid.
recon dart and flash to take A main control.
Next report out.
Almost every time Sentinels have taken A main control, they just go into an A hit. So it'd be nice to see Sentinels take A main, insert Zekken there, and then go somewhere else on the map. Or even if they insert Pancada there or something.
Tier 2 is basically tier 1.25. True. That's
Wow,
actually
so
true.
what is tier?
But it doesn't look like they're going to do that. Nope, they're just going to go for another A hit as soon as they take A main. So again, they're just doing the same shit all the time. If they take an area of the map, they go into an exec. It's like in your ranked games where you can never get people to walk backwards. If the duelist takes an area of the map, they're just running in. If you take Hooker on bind, you bet your ass people are running into B. You cannot tell them to reset and go down short instead. Like, guys, we have great... we've baited all the rotates. We've taken a lot of map control away from them. Maybe if we just try and walk down short and exec? Nope, your duelists are going to run in. And that feels like the same thing watching Sentinels here. Once they take a portion of the map, they just want to exec. In this situation, though, I mean, there's only one person here, but it's Vic with an op and nanoswarm setups. Vic's not going to be able to re-peek this and get suppressed, so great opportunity to commit on this.
They're just gonna ult from tree. It's gonna be lethal. Lethal is won't lie to you.
Wait, Rob, maybe you gotta stick around over there.
Wait. They're just gonna ult from tree. It's gonna be lethal.
So it's again, there's no thought from Tens to throw his KO nade at Switch to stop them from pop flashing out if Flyer was playing from there. And there's also no thought to throw his molly on Heaven to stop Vic re-peeking there. The Heaven molly is not as required in this situation because Sassy already droned and pushed him away. But I'd like to see him actually use the nade. I guess maybe he's using the nade to counter the KO, the Killjoy ult. It's quite a tough lineup, apparently. I don't even know it. But apparently, like, I was reading some tweets recently from, not recently, a couple of months ago, I think, from Boaster saying that Chronicle wasn't confident about using this KO molly lineup to counter the Killjoy ult, because he said it was a little inconsistent. You had to get it perfect. Maybe that's what Tens is going to go for. There's also a Killjoy nanoswarm right underneath Tens' feet, which I don't know whether anyone broke it, but I guess they must have done. All right, so Killjoy ult is now active. I mean, there's no way that they could use any utility to break it anyway, because there's a KO ult happening at the same time.
Oh.
Zenikin is just fucked.
What do we got for you?
Nanoswarms on the spike, get broken immediately.
Shoot down that fucking
These
eye.
A retakes look really nice from MXS, but Sentinels just can't hold on.
Off, on.
Nice. Really well played by MXS. I think their A retakes have been very well done, and Sen just couldn't hold on. They couldn't. They need to work on their post-plant positioning so that they can break recon darts, even with the flashes that are coming through. They also need to make sure that they have enough counter utility that they can throw. And in situations like this, where you're facing massive retake ultimates of the KO and the Killjoy together, they need to find some way of getting aggressive, I think. Probably through tree, or maybe having some kind of backstab, because John Cutie was lurking this round, but he just ended up pathing back towards A main. So yeah, the post plants just got absolutely ruined. Yeah, this definitely needs some work. Here's some positives. Copium, right? The cope is... Zekken looks way better on Jet. Okay? Zekken looks way better on Jet than Tens was on Jet. And I think it's already improved their defense side. What else? The cope is... They were scrimming fast execs. They were scrimming execs. And actually, John Cutie will be able to mid-round a lot better than this when it becomes matches on their attack side. The bad parts about Sentinels were that their cat defense looked really poor. And I think there's a lot of improvements that Tens can make looking at how other KOs play that situation. And because it's such a stagnant map in terms of the meta, that should be really easy. Tens can just watch a bunch of VODs of King or Zelsis even, who's on his team, or Sadak if you want to play it in more of a loose style where you're paired with Zekken more rather than with Pancada more. The other, or Chronicle as well. The other bad part for Sentinels was that Pancada on defense looked like he had really bad coordination with his A players. And it's not that Pancada was playing the situations badly. I actually think that on defense they won 2 or 3 rounds because Pancada did not get baited by the fake A pressure that MXS threw out. But he didn't really seem like he was coordinated with Tens or with Zekken in what he was trying to accomplish. There was the weird round where Pancada went for the push down down Gelato, where the other two weren't on the same page. There was the weird round where Pancada just baited the shit out of Zekken and hid in Wine, while Zekken was fighting World War III over towards Cat. So just a bit of a missing communication there. And then obviously the other big problem with Sentinels on their attack side was that they ran too many full execs without adding enough other things into the mix. It's fine to do some fast rounds, but you need some rounds where you A-split. You need some rounds where you take mid-control and make a mid-round decision of where you're going to end up on a 1-3-1 default. You need some rounds where maybe you throw, like, one round, you throw a fake in there. And the other part was that their post plants were getting ruined. Now, I think part of that is that MXS looked really good on the retakes. They were comboing flash recons together all the time. Their paranoias were always in good spots. Their KO and Soviet utility were excellent from Flyer and from Brock. Brock's an animal with the Odin, but Sentinels just got folded in every one of those retakes. And you'd like to see them win more than, 0. So yeah, a lot of things to improve on there on Ascent.